Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV this beautiful Thursday evening. It is time for the next round of the Wide Open Clothing Australian Sprint Car Championship Series by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events. We're here at USA International Speedway for round 14, the BK Trading Lakeland Challenge. Couple extra little itty-bitties for the format tonight, which are going to spice things up a little bit. We'll go into that as time goes on, but for now, we'll introduce this round live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. It's me, Reese Gardner. And joining me in the commentary box this time is Joshua Lee from the United States. Jay Kennedy on production as always. Josh, welcome to ODSE. You're in for a treat.
It's a nice early wake-up call here on the East Coast of the United States in Florida, but I'm excited to watch these 410 sprint cars go racing around such a unique track. I mean, this track used to be a dirt track when it first opened way back when, and now it is back to a dirt track in the iRacing service. And you mentioned our format for tonight, Reese. Top 5 advancing from our 4 heats. They go directly to the A main. Once you get into that C main, you're not going to advance directly into the A. You have to then go through the B main for that top 4. The B main, 12 laps. Top 4 advance to the A. That top 8 redrawing their order for the A main. And a little bit of a bonus as well, Reese. If they want to go all the way back to P8, they can, and then get a bonus $50 if they were to win the 30-lap A main. We'll see if anybody ends up taking that out of our heat race winners and runners-up.
Yeah, certainly hope that that's the case. That's a really good little feature to incentivize a little bit of extra excitement here from the crew at ODSE. Well, USA International Speedway has been used quite a few times in ODSE events. It's one of the original dirt tracks to be added to iRacing when dirt first came. Ethan Winter won here last year. He is the reigning defending Series champion back in 2022. The 360 Power Series raced here. Harry Stewart took it. The Big Block Modified Madness Tour was won by James Edens in 2021. And the 360 Power Series also came here in 2020 with Joel Berkeley taking the feature win there. A varied amount of winners. Winter, Stewart, and Berkeley are racing once again this season. We'll see if any of them can make it 2 wins at USA. The championship standings, we're starting to get to the business end of this season, and Ethan Winter will be leading from Clayton Davies, but Joel Berkeley with a great run of form in the number 9, making it only 8 points behind Davies for 2nd and 3rd. Nathan Vanderwacker and Bradley Oldfield rounding out your top 5. Super close for P6. We got Wilson, Walsh, and Gowans only separated by 4 points. And our series administrator, Brady Baldwin, still sticking himself in the top 10 there, ahead of the number 17 of Zach Rattray White, who's looking for a bit of extra luck going towards this final few rounds of the season. 18 rounds scheduled for this year. We've already completed 14 of them. The last 5 rounds begins now, Josh, and I think the drivers are going to be focusing on just getting those results, focusing on points above all else.
Yeah, it seems like kind of the general consensus over everybody is we're already at round 14. Like, it seems like this season has gone by super quick. It's time to get those last minute points. Ethan Winter at the front just needs to hold on. He needs a good result here because Clayton Davies can be right up at his points number very, very quickly. Do not count out that 10 for Tanner Pettit Racing, and do not count out any of the Ulick Sim Sports guys. They are all within striking distance as well, down to P6 on the grid.
Yeah, massive amount of very talented drivers with very talented squads around here. Of course, we have title sponsors for every round of this season, and for round 14, we want to thank BK Trading Australia. If you're looking to sell your truck, machinery, or fleet vehicles, do not look past BK Trading, who offer a simpler alternative to selling your vehicles and machinery for cash. Check out their website, bktrading.com.au. We're almost ready to get ourselves into Australian Speedway results qualifying, but while we're waiting for everything to move along, a little bit more about this track, Josh. It is wide open the whole way round. It's a very wide circuit. It's super fast. It's 3/4 of a mile in length, I believe, and basically you're not lifting off the throttle at any point.
I liken this track to Williams Grove. It's very Williams Grove-esque. It's long straightaways, it's tight corners, but those corners not super banked. You're able to get a lot of speed through these corners, and like you mentioned, Reese, it's not going to be a lot of time off throttle. You're really going to be lighting these things up down the straightaways into the corners, slide them in. It's going to be slide job city, I feel, going into turns 1 and 3, just because you're going to have a lot of speed you're carrying through these corners. And we saw in the pre-race practice that we had up before this race session, the track grooved in very, very nicely over the course of about 2 hours. I don't think we're going to get a lot of track grooving here, but we are going to get a decent amount of track work in with these 410 sprint cars going around. And how that track wears in is, of course, going to play into what we see through our mains and through our A main.
Yeah, absolutely. Last few rounds, and in fact, for the majority of the season, we have not seen track resets before the feature. So we've been carrying these same conditions all the way through and seeing the track evolve over time. I wonder how quickly the slick is going to come in here. We're already getting somewhat of a groove forming there, and plenty of beads of clay being thrown up onto the high side of the racetrack. Checking in with Nathan Vanderwacker there in the number 88 in practice. He is solidly in that top 10, top 5 championship hunt, and this is a round that I think is going to be very important for him. He needs to get those results this round. The number 9 of Joel Berkeley on an absolute hot charge recently, taking a couple of feature podiums and elevating himself up in the championship after a slow start to the season.
On a charge, and currently second place in practice as well with a 17.264. That's kind of what we're looking at right now in the season. Into round 14, it is, are you going to make up those points now, or are you going to continue to wait? The waiting time is about done for the year. You need to get those points now, and Joel Berkeley has been doing a really good job of that over the last couple of rounds. But can he keep that going? Tonight is going to be his big test if he's able to try and jump up a couple of spots and be able to get that lead.
Yeah, interesting to note that he's one of the few drivers who's actually testing out a high line here while the track is still fresh. He wants to try and get that alternate line grooved in a little before we get into qualifying and the heats, running nice and low on that occasion as well. When they come into qualifying, I would suspect that there's going to be a bit of a dichotomy forming between drivers who put their wings back a bit and decide, you know, we want a bit less drag, we want to run that high line, keep momentum up, and then there might be some drivers who run it all the way down to the inside wall, try and get the geometric fastest line around the track. Well, we are in qualifying, and we're about to find out exactly what Joel Berkeley wants to do here. The number 9, one of the first cars out on the circuit, and looks like that might have been a bit of a false start there for Berkeley. Some settings not quite right. He's going to go back into the pits there. Harry Stewart, previous winner here for Ulick Sim Sports, and he is diving right down low already.
That is how quick these 410 sprint cars can change direction into turn 3. Does he stay high? He does. Goes all the way up to the cushion. Is this going to be the lap that he needs? Cross the line. It's slower than a lot of the ones in practice. 18.126. Don't think that's going to hold. We'll see as more times come through. He's the only one to put in a time so far. But here's lap number 2, down to the bottom in 3. Is this going to be the better lap for Harry Stewart crossing the line? It is by a considerable margin, 17.744. But fastest right now, 17.445. Trent Gosley to the top of the board.
Yeah, Gosley doing quite well there and maintains second as Bradley Oldfield now goes fastest. And then Darcy Walker puts in a 17.196. That's a huge chunk of time that's been taken out there. And I've noticed for Berkeley and now for Oldfield as well, it seems quite difficult to keep the car straight when you're running down low. It tends to snap a little bit. That'll be something they'll need to manage later on.
The inside of this track as well, there's a little bit of grass to the inside. You just saw it there on the front straightaway. There's a little bit there on the bottom of turn 2, and there's a little bit on the bottom of turn 3. Interestingly, there is not grass on the bottom of turn 4. That grass goes inwards towards the wall. There you can see it. The wall juts out, keeps the bottom of the racetrack within the wall, and gets rid of that grass. You need, if you're running the bottom here, you need to be very careful not to get too much in that grass. You will be going around, you will be slowing down your lap time, but you got to get as close as possible. That is where the speed is at on the bottom of the racetrack. And here's Clayton Davies through 3. He goes all the way down there trying to get the fast time. Does he go quick time at the line?
Oh, this is going to be interesting for Davies. 17.2. That's not quite enough. Matthew Gowans is currently on top, 17.156, 300ths ahead of Brock Thompson, whose early season form was spectacular. He sort of disappeared from the top in the middle of the season, did the number 61, but Brock Thompson doing a good job to put himself up there. Now our reigning champion is out there, Ethan Winter. He had his issues at the start of the season, as did many drivers. One of the most varied seasons of ODSE racing we've ever seen. No clear leader for the majority of the season, but Ethan Winter put a lot of work in, and now he is solidly putting himself back on top, about to see his first lap come across the line here, sticking a bit low down the start-finish straight into a 17.115, or 114 rather. Massive. That is a huge chunk of time taken out of the quick time.
That is exactly what Ethan Winter wanted, what he was looking for, and now we look at Tim Ryan in the 98. What can he do in that Altus machine to try and get to the top of the leaderboard? Ethan Winter at a 17.114 is going to be tough to beat, but if anybody can do it, seems like Tim Ryan can across the line for lap number 1. It's close. It's not enough. Can he go better on lap 2? Or that was lap 2, so that's going to be it for Tim Ryan at a 17.259 P9 for the 98.
Wow, okay, so that's going to potentially jeopardize his heats there, but shouldn't be too much of a bad run there for Tim Ryan. Usually he's out there and absolutely stonking it in the final seconds of the session. Could have been a potential pole position there, but ultimately he'll start 9th. Ethan Winter has your quick time. Australian Speedway results qualifying go on the way of the number 1 with Gowans, Thompson, Berkeley and Walker rounding out your top 5, and that top 4 will be our pole sitters for the heats. Speaking of, it's time for Heat 1 presented by McSlide Race. Ethan Winter and Darcy Walker will be your front row, with Tim Ryan starting in 3rd alongside Oscar Ames. Bailey Leeson, the Vortex Sim Sport cars, sharing the 3rd row there, with Daniel Boyd starting up high. In 7th place, Zach Rattray White got Darcy Wilson for company. Then we have Paul Ward and Cameron De Bruin rounding out the 10 cars to start this one. Now, usually, Josh, we run 5 heats in these events, but 4 heats means bigger fields for the heats, and I'm not complaining about that.
Bigger fields and also a little bit of a tougher cut line. And yes, it is P5, but that is still half of the field that you're gonna have to try and pass if you're Daniel Boyd, if you're Zach Rattray White, if you're Darcy Wilson, Paul Ward, or Cameron De Bruin. You have to make your way up through the field quickly. It is only an 8-lap heat, and at one of the longer tracks in 410 sprint car racing, 8 laps might seem like a while, but you saw how quickly these drivers were going through those qualifying laps in the midst of about 17 to 18 seconds. this heat's going to be gone before you know it. If you're not making moves quick, you're not going to be making them at all.
Absolutely. A lot of side-by-side racing is likely to come up here tonight. I think we'll be seeing some drivers on the grid already adjusting their wings to get the car balance right, whether or not they'll be taking the low or high line for the start. The iRacing pace truck about to pull away and lead us on those 2 formation laps. And looking at the track after qualifying, it does seem to have kept its grip quite nicely. Not seeing much trace of any slick lines through the turns yet.
You see them start to slick up a little bit more on those entries. That entry to 1, you just saw it there. You're going to see it again on the entry to 3. It slicks up on the entries to these corners a lot quicker. That is where the change of direction is happening. The most contact patch from tire to ground. But I think we're going to see the exits of these corners in the middle of these corners start to develop in by the end of our heats. But once we get to the end of our heats and seeing how they develop through the C main, the P main, and into the A main, if we get any track resets, is going to be the big tell on how this track is going to wear for the rest of the night, especially over a 30-lap feature with 24 cars versus 10 going racing on it at once.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how the track looks at the end of the feature. Well, I was looking at the InSim text chat, and Joel Berkeley said, "Nice lap, Harry," talking to Harry Stewart, who wasn't able to get any better than a 17.7. He's starting 8th in the 3rd heat. That's not the kind of result that Harry would have wanted from the start of the night, but Harry said, "Hey, bud, thanks. Sun got in the eyes." So at least he has an excuse to fall back on, but we're about to get ready for this start here. Ethan Winter alongside Darcy Walker at the front of the field, and Walker's been searching for some success here. He and Darcy Wilson certainly can get up there in ODSE competition, but they have yet to really assert themselves as some of the top drivers in this league. Could this be the chance that they have here at round 14 as Ethan Winter goes early to start off heat 1? The green flag flies and we are away. Winter already out to half a second lead by the time they get into turn 1. Tim Ryan already making moves up to 2nd place, and across the track goes Zach Rattray White. That's resulted in a massive pile up, and that leaves our top 4 streaking away.
Darcy Wilson involved in that one as well. I'm seeing Oscar Ames involved, Daniel Boyd as well. That was a huge incident on lap number 1, and that leaves the top 5 still on the racetrack. Cameron De Bruin was able to make it through. Not sure if he has any damage on that number 13, but either way, top 5 are just pulling away to the tune of everything now, because Zach Rattray White has a black flag. Oscar Ames damaged, Darcy Wilson damaged, Daniel Boyd, Paul Ward, they are all out of this race.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That's a crazy development here at the start of this night. And poor Darcy Wilson was still touring around the racetrack, and he turned his car into a wingless sprint. Same for Paul Ward. Not ideal for these conditions, but for the moment, this field has spaced out. Zach Rattray White still out there on the track. This is how we got it done here, thanks to our friends at Suit Speed. And it looks like Rattray White tried to get that low exit, but got into the back of a car, and that sent him up high and into everyone else. Close quarters at high speed, always a recipe for disaster.
Cameron De Bruin, I don't think, put a lap in qualifying, and he started at the tail end of this field. He parted the seas on that wreck. I think he had a touch of contact. He ended up wheeling through that wreck, but he just got the slightest bit of a touch and now sits in a transfer spot. That is how quickly your luck can go good in 410 sprint car racing. One wreck in front of you, you make it through. He's now in a transfer spot with no pressure at all.
Yeah, well, this is his view of all of that. So, yeah, you're right. The seas just parted. That's amazing. Great avoidance.
He was able just to go right through the middle of that, get through everything, and now is going to have a spot in the A main along with the top 4 and Ethan Winter with another heat race win.
Yes, indeed. Checkered flag is out, and Ethan Winter takes the first heat of the night. Tim Ryan and Darcy Walker will join him on the podium, with Bailey Leeson and Cameron De Bruin rounding out your top 5. They will transfer through to the A main instantly. And The top two in the heats, Winter and Ryan, the first to enter that grid redraw. Unfortunately for Rattray White and everyone behind him there, look at the results list there. Wilson, Boyd, and Ward. They couldn't quite make it even halfway through that race. Ultimately, big trouble for those guys. They'll have to sort through the C and B mains. Time for Heat 2. Matthew Gowans and Paul Bryan are your front row. Nathan Van Der Wacker starts third alongside Hadley Boyce, with Ayrton Smith and Bradley Oldfield 5th and 6th. James Oliver and John Schultz 7th and 8th, with Jamie Stovald going to be the last car taken to the grid. Liam James in race control will disqualify himself so that he can watch proceedings from the side of the track and apply any black flags should the need arise. But well, let's hope at least, Josh, that the start is a bit cleaner this time. The drivers would have been watching and seeing how that went down, and they'll be wanting to give some more space on lap 1.
And turn 1 just is very thin on the entry specifically. We kind of saw these drivers try and spread their way out, and you can once you get into these corners. But keep in mind, this is just a normal short track in Lakeland, Florida, with dirt overlaid on top of it. That is asphalt underneath that dirt. So these straightaways are built for asphalt racing. That's why the turns have more width, because that is the apron of the asphalt racetrack. See how it widens out with adding all of that dirt down by pit exit. The turns widen out, the straightaways are very thin. That's exactly what we saw with everybody fanning to turn 1, and once they got out of turn 2, Reese, there was nowhere for anybody to go.
Yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because it being the apron of the asphalt oval, I mean, sure, you tip your way into the turn and it's nice and wide, but also the bottom of the racetrack is a bit flatter than it is up the top. So you're going to have to make sure that you have the mechanical grip in your car to try and maintain the line if you're running down low. Obviously, this being such a high-speed circuit, often the high line will be the way to go.
And we saw that high line start to develop its way in through practice. We saw a couple of guys try it in qualifying, and we're still seeing a couple of guys try it once we're in this race here. I'm interested to see as that track starts to develop a little bit more, if we see more drivers go up to the cushion and try and run up there. I think we're seeing a majority of people kind of split the middle. They're running about the middle of the racetrack, sometimes going low, sometimes going up top. But also through that last heat, we were really analyzing that wreck that happened. So this is going to be the first heat that hopefully we're going to see green all the way to the end and see everybody race their way through cleanly.
All right, Matthew Gowans will take point here at the front of the field as the pace truck is about to pull into pit lane. And he goes nice and early once again. Paul Bryan with no response there on the high line, but Nathan Van Der Wacker immediately to the inside, grabbing second spot. This is where the incident happened in Heat 1. They need to be careful here. They've all managed to give each other the space, but it's side by side, almost 3 rows deep as they make their way into turn 3. Van Der Wacker still leads that battle for second, but Ayrton Smith now is going to be the next to try and pass Paul Bryan, and gets up the inside there. Bit too much of a slide in the mid-corner, and he's going to lose that momentum.
Smith lost the spot to Paul Bryan to go to third. Now James Oliver sits on your transfer. You see the side-by-side with James Oliver and Bradley Oldfield back in the 6th spot. Oldfield tries to cover it off, but he's got to look forward. James Oliver hits the back bumper of the 64 of Smith, and now here's your battle for the transfer. 51 looks low, 35 covers that spot.
Yeah, good driving there from James Oliver to protect that one. Bradley Oldfield is a solid competitor, and he's been on the podium a couple of times, so he's certainly a difficult customer to race against there. He's going to be looking for every opportunity he can. Lots of momentum out of turn 2 there, but the battle between Paul Bryan and Ayrton Smith still going on for third, and Paul's working that high line nicely as Oldfield's finally gotten past James Oliver. Oh, Oliver's trying to respond to him. A bit of a bump in turn 1, and that's going to open up the opportunity to John Schultz. Hang on a minute. Hadley Boyce in the 727 says hello, everybody.
Here comes the battle for the transfers. We're over halfway done in this heat. It already got physical. How much more physical is it going to get? Battle for the transfer. Bottom of your screen, you're watching battles within your transfer spots up top. The 51 leads on the 35 again as they go to 3. Bradley Oldfield all the way to the bottom. Oliver tries to push him to the wall, and it's going to work. Oliver around the outside keeps the spot.
This is a great fight, absolutely fantastic. And well, we saw that Nathan Vanderwacker was pressuring Matthew Gowans for the lead a few laps ago, but he has fallen back hard. He's back into fourth, and he's actually starting to fall back into the clutches of Oldfield and Oliver here. We're only going to have one lap to go. This could be interesting. Big contact there between James Oliver and Hadley Boyce. John Schultz tries to get into it, and James Oliver is sent around. Oh, after holding on for the transfer and battling hard for that, his heat will come to an end with Matthew Gowans taking the checkered flag up front. Paul Bryan and Ayrton Smith will be your top three, and it looks like Jamie Stovall sneaking into fourth there. Vanderwacker just holding on to the last transfer spot, losing his front wing. And, well, it looks like he's going to get a black flag for his part in the incident earlier on. So that's going to demote him to the back of the field there. Matthew Gowans, Paul Bryan, Ayrton Smith, Jamie Stovall, and Hadley Boyce will ultimately be your top five, transferring through to the A as we move through. Oliver, Oldfield, Vanderwacker, and Schultz coming home a lap down for those last three positions. Well, we're halfway through the heats. Time for the third one. Brock Thompson starting on pole for this one. A great performance there from the Automoves Racing Team 61 alongside Clayton Davies battling for the championship with Ethan Winter. He needs to get a win in this heat, or at least finish in the top two to get in that redraw. Brady Baldwin and Aston Hurley are your second row, with Lachlan Mead and Trent Gosley your top six. Thomas Mitchell has got Harry Stewart for company on row number 4. Nick Mithen all by himself on the 5th and final row. Now, Stewart is going to be one I'm really watching here, Josh, because he's usually a lot further up to the front of the field than this. He's going to be battling hard in this one.
He's going to have a long way to go as well, all the way back in P8. But if anybody's wondering what was going on with the results of heat race number 2, what was going on with Nathan Vanderwacker, Brady Oldfield, why did he end up all the way at the bottom of the leaderboard at the end of that last lap? Well, Nathan Vanderwacker was trying to cover off the spot on Oldfield. Oldfield had a run coming through turn 2, up by the cushion, trying to get by him for the transfer, and Vanderwacker came up, made contact, sent Oldfield into the wall, and flipping down the back straightaway. That led to the disqualification. That led to him now having a race out of either the C main or the B main, and not going advancing to the A main.
And it looks like John Schultz got a black flag for his part in that incident as well, with the likes of Hadley Boyce and James Oliver. So a bit of extra work to do for those drivers as they tour sedately here to do the grid for Heat 3. Brock Thompson versus Clayton Davies. Haven't seen this matchup on a row in quite some time, and this is the first time in a while I've seen Brock Thompson up the front of any field, really. USA International Speedway seems to be smiling on the number 61.
And Clayton Davies to that outside, do not count him out. He is always fast no matter where we go, and if he is able to get by that number 61, I have no doubt that he is going to piece out from this field. But watch that transfer. Gosley's going to want it. Mitchell's going to want it. Stewart's going to want it. Even Nick Mithen all the way down there in P9. There's a lot of good names fighting for that transfer here in Heat 3.
Well, coming to the start zone, Thompson pulls away as the pace truck exits the racetrack. Not as much of a jump as other heat pole sitters from before. Clayton Davies is going to pressure Thompson there as it's all on for P3 and for Lachlan Mead with a little bit of a slide there coming out of turn 2. And that will bring Aston Hurley to the inside. Attempted slide job from Hurley, but he gets some understeer up high. Oh my God, that's massive. Thomas Mitchell and Trent Gosley smashing together, and Trent Gosley is one of the he has some of the worst luck in this league, honestly. That's another big blow for the number 4, but the battle is still on there. There's further contact. Aston Hurley's just sent Lachlan Mead into the barrier.
Harry Stewart off of turn 4 had a big run, and it looked like to me Gosley was trying to get up there to cover off the spot, just got there too little too late. They met in the middle, and unfortunately Thomas Mitchell caught up in that one when he had no part of any of the proceedings coming off of turn 4. Now we're about halfway done with this heat. Clayton Davies on the back bumper of Brock Thompson. This is for the win of this heat. Transfer battle, not much yet. Aston Hurley in P5, about 4/10 ahead of Nick Mithen. Nothing going on there yet. The big battle is for the win.
Yeah, big battle indeed. Brock Thompson's been holding that high line very strong, but Clayton Davies is, I think, just biding his time here, looking for an opportunity. He's going to move to the inside at turn 3, but then he gets up onto the slick, and that arrests his momentum a little bit. Thompson responds instantly as they make it 3 laps to go. Thompson moves up to the high line, but then he loses momentum himself, and the trade is going to begin here.
Down to the inside goes Clayton Davies for the spot, gets the slide job done. Now back to the bottom goes Brock Thompson. He gets a nose in there with 2 to go. Into turn 1, all the way down to the bottom, slides up. Davies looks low, gets loose, trying to get the transfer. And here he goes back to the inside. It'll be white flag this time by Reese, and everybody fighting for this win right now. Davies versus Thompson, white flag is out.
Oh, this is going to be a great battle for the win here. Davies has consolidated the lead over Brock Thompson. All he has to do is just keep his eyes out for any potential moves to the inside. He ran into the wall a little there out of 2, so he needs to be careful here through the final corner, but he has enough space to get it done. Clayton Davies takes heat 3 with Brock Thompson finishing in 2nd. They'll enter the top 8 redraw for the A main grid. Harry Stewart, Brady Baldwin, and Aston Hurley crossing the line just about a second amongst those 3 drivers. Those are your transfers, but Harry Stewart and Aston Hurley have both been given black flags by race control, so that changes things even further. That means that Trent Gosley, even though he was involved in one of those huge incidents, gets the transfer.
That is a gift for Trent Gosley in the number 4, but just goes to show these officials are watching what you're doing on the racetrack. If these drivers are not racing clean, they're going to be dealt with accordingly.
They will indeed. Final heat is up, and Joel Berkeley has the front start for this one with Kobe Noonan. Colin Bokus, the American from Bokus Built Sprints Esports, alongside Craig Dunn in row 2. Nick Ryan and Daniel Grimshaw are 5th and 6th. Bentley Summers is going to take that number 3 out from P7 alongside Matthew Stables. And Seth Brown for Vermilion Esports will be your final starter here. Last heat, getting ready in a few moments for the C main to go live as well. Just sorting out those final few spots. And, well, we've noticed that the slick line through the turns is really starting to become apparent. You see it start there on entry, but I'm noticing it's carrying all the way through to the mid-corner now.
And we're not even done with the heats. We still got one more. We still got 2 preliminary mains before we're into the A. We're just going to keep seeing this track to develop. I wonder if the officials are wondering if we're going to see any track reset. There is none planned, but if we were to see a track reset, then all of that bottom grooving would go away. But now are we going to see more drivers start to shift up to the cushion? They're still using that inside line to make moves. We're seeing a lot of just kind of normal lap by lap racing going on middle to top. But are we going to start to see drivers try and make moves up top rather than down low? They might need to go down low if everybody's running the wall, but if they need to go down low, they're going to need to be careful and not get caught up in that slick stuff.
Yeah, we saw in the previous heat the fight for the lead between Davies and Thompson. They were both just stuck on the high line. Every time they moved down, it was very risky. You saw how much their cars were moving around. There's a very narrow strip of fresh clay right up the top of the circuit. So as long as you're on the track by yourself, well, you can use it to your advantage. You have that luxury, but you're going to have 8 other cars around you all trying to do the same thing here. So It's going to be on Joel Berkeley to try and get the best jump he can here. He's away and almost hits the pace truck as we move to the green flag. Colin Bokus immediately moves into second place, and he's even trying to go for the lead there into turn one. He consolidates it. There's battling all the way through this field. Kobe Noonan now sees the back of Colin Bokus, but he's shortly going to see the front end of Craig Dunn, who's managed to keep himself in fourth, but fighting now for the podium. It's pretty close up the front there as they're 3 wide for sixth place. Bentley Summers, Matthew Stables, and Nick Ryan all struggling through turns 1 and 2.
Dan Grimshaw has himself that transfer, but up front, Joel Berkeley has the lead. Colin Bokus trying to find a way through, and you can see now this is what the track development does. This is how it changes the racing. We are single file up at the top of the racetrack. The 57 Craig Dunn wants to go low, tries to make the pass work. He's all in that slick stuff and goes nowhere.
Yeah, what I'm noticing here from Dunn is he's liking to go low on the inside of turn 2, and you see right there's a bit less slick on the inside exit of turn 2 than there is at turn 4. Look at the sliding he has to do. He is cranking that wheel around to try and get this thing around the racetrack. Berkeley has lost the lead to Bokus, and it's on for the heat win here. Berkeley to the inside, and he's going to slide up the racetrack there. Does Bokus have any response? He might have to stay behind, but no, he's going to go for it again into 3 and 4. Berkeley starting to drop back. Now Dunn is threatening him for second.
That was a big dive, and now it's going to equalize out. Back to the bottom goes Joel Berkeley with 3 laps to go in heat race 4. The 57 was able to grab a spot on Kobe Noonan for third. Now he goes for second. Does he get up in time? Yes, he does. He gets second place, 2 to go. Joel Berkeley still in the lead. Does anybody have anything for the 9? Here goes the battle for second place again.
All of this battling is telling me that maybe the bottom is starting to come back. This is really interesting. Seeing them go low, both Colin Berkeley and, Joel Berkeley and Colin Bokus. But Craig Dunn holding strong in second place. They are leaving Kobe Noonan and Dan Grimshaw behind to battle over the last 2 transfer spots as there goes Dunn to the lead of the race. He worked the inside line perfectly there. It is the final lap. It is the run to the flag. Berkeley trying to run around the outside there, but it's not going to be enough. Craig Dunn takes victory in heat number 4. Joel Berkeley, Colin Bokus, Kobe Noonan, and Dan Grimshaw round out your top 5 and transfer through to the A main. No admin black flags from that heat. It was clean the whole way through. So Bentley Summers, Matthew Stables, Nick Ryan, and Seth Brown will need to find something different in order to get themselves further up the field. The C main is now upon us here. Presented by Apex Civil Solutions Queensland. Nathan Vanderwacker on the front row with Lachlan Mead. Nick Ryan and Daniel Boyd, 3rd and 4th, with John Schultz rounding out your top 5, starting alongside Thomas Mitchell. Seth Brown and Paul Ward make it 8 cars to start the C. And, only the top 4 from this one will transfer through to the B main. You finish outside that top 4, you're going home.
And this C main is going to be the real test for these drivers. You do not advance to the A main, you just advance to the B main. It is the next preliminary main, and then you have to try and get top 4 in that one to then advance into the A main. These drivers have a long road ahead of them if they want to make tonight's feature race, but Reese, we've got a lot of fast drivers. Nathan Vanderwacker's in this C main, Nick Ryan's here. Daniel Boyd is here. Thomas Mitchell, who was involved in a wreck along with Paul Ward. They're all in this heat here. And those black flag drivers from those heats are going to receive end-of-line penalties here. So Vanderwacker going to the back of the field as well.
Yep, same for John Schultz. So they'll take up your final row here as they come around to start the second of our formation laps here. Still got a little bit of time to just judge how this track is evolving. Seeing those patches of sort of fresher clay through the corners, you want to try and angle the car towards that. But if you've found yourself a setup that works well on the slick, you can basically put the car pretty much anywhere you want. But you can still see that they're not quite running the right rear into the wall on the entry to these corners. There's still a bit of space up there, a little bit more of a margin to push.
I'm very interested to see how the drivers that got those EOLs race through this field. Of course, we are also upping the lap count, going from 8 from our heats into 12, or excuse me, 10 here in the C main. 2 more laps of action to try and make it happen. Who's going to walk away with the top 4 transfers?
This is the question. Pace truck is in, and Lakeland Mead leads us away for the start of the C main, and they're almost going 3 wide already for second place. Hitting the grass on the inside was the Vermilion driver, Seth Brown, and he immediately falls to the back, makes contact with Vanderwacker, who loses all speed there. A tough start for the 88 there. Meanwhile, the top 4 are together. Lakeland Mead does hold on just ever so slightly here at the front, but starting to see some moves down low for Nick Ryan. He's testing out that inside line. Let's see if it nets him any advantage. Meanwhile, the battle on for third there. We see Daniel Boyd and Thomas Mitchell trading places through the corners. That is your transfers right there. All of these drivers making up good time, but a little bit of a loss of speed there for Thomas Mitchell as the 79 of Daniel Boyd goes for second, goes for the lead into turn 3. He's through, but Nick Ryan is going to immediately respond.
Still side by side for that race lead. Back to turn 1. Nick Ryan all the way down low, covers the spot on Boyd. Mead and Mitchell, the top 4 right now. John Schultz trying to make a push happen, but he's got 4 attempts to try and make his way through. And loose on the bottom of the racetrack goes Lakeland Mead. He loses the spot to Boyd.
Yeah, that's intense there. He almost went into the other car. It's very difficult to keep up the momentum here. Mead is still having issues there through 1 and 2 as well. This time the rear end of the car was breaking free. He's trying to get that rotation, and you need consistent rotation around a track like this. You don't want the car to suddenly snap on you and then it turns into understeer. Well, Vanderwacker has been struggling to free himself from those bottom few positions. He sits in 6th place, and he's under a lot of pressure still from Paul Ward, and I'm not seeing much of a trace of him trying to make some kind of run on these guys up the front. It's side by side still for second, Daniel Boyd and Lakeland Mead, as Nick Ryan has skipped away from them at the front.
He has ran away with the lead and not looking back, but looking back is what Thomas Mitchell is doing right now at John Schultz, who has etched away a little bit at that gap. With only 3 laps to go, he's going to need to etch away a little bit more. The battling that's going on for P3 right now is only going to help this 78, as here comes Schultz. Now Lakeland Mead is that transfer car. Where does Schultz go? Does he have enough time? It's 2 to go at the line. He needs to make something work now, and he's got a mirror full of Nathan Vanderwacker.
Yeah, Vanderwacker appearing out of nowhere and making himself a factor in this once again. Slow down low for Thomas Mitchell. Could Vanderwacker and Schultz both make it into the transfer here? It is a 5-way fight for second place, and we are coming up to the white flag. Oh, big sliding from John Schultz there as lap 10 begins. Nick Ryan has disappeared into the ether, 1.3 seconds ahead. Schultz has managed to get into 4th place. He's going to go for 3rd as well. Is there any room for him to go for second? Vanderwacker trying down low on the number 16, and Lakeland Mead is sent into the wall, and that's the finish. Nick Ryan winning the C main. Thomas Mitchell, John Schultz, and Daniel Boyd will all transfer through to the B main, but it was a desperate last lap attempt there from Nathan Vanderwacker. He will miss out. He is not going to make the feature start here, which could be detrimental to his championship hopes. Paul Ward, Seth Brown, and Lakeland Mead, they all made it to the finish, but unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes. All of those drivers will be going home, and it looks like we'll be having a very intense feature. But we have to go through the B main first, and the B main is presented by SimWrap Market. Let's hear from them. Big thanks to Simrat Market for sponsoring the B main here at USA International Speedway. Zach Rattray White would have started on pole, but he's one of the drivers that's had to fall back the order due to black flags. James Oliver started on the front row with him. Stewart and Summers row 2, with Oscar Ames and Bradley Oldfield rounding out your top 6. Then we had Aston Hurley and Matthew Stables on row 4. Then in 9th place, Darcy Wilson with our top 4 from the C main moving through. Nick Ryan, Thomas Mitchell, John Schultz and Daniel Boyd, making it 13 cars to take to the start. But as we said, Josh, those black flags have come in, and we've had Harry Stewart being sent to the rear of the grid, and same for Aston Hurley and Zach Rattray White. They've got a big fight ahead of them.
A big fight through more cars over the course of more laps. We are up to 12 now here in the B main. Remember, those drivers that advanced out of our last preliminary heat, they did not advance to the A. They advanced to this preliminary main that we are in right now. Nick Ryan, Thomas Mitchell, John Schultz, Daniel Boyd, those 4 with everybody else in front of them. Bradley Oldfield sitting right dead mid-pack in P6. Harry Stewart starting within the transfers P3. Let's see what they got as we go green.
James Oliver leading from the front. Bentley Summers with some blinking issues on the formation lap, but he is held strong there for second. Oscar Ames immediately staking his claim for the lead of the race. Gets up the inside of James Oliver, sliding up into the wall though. Looks like there was just enough grip for him to keep the momentum up, but it's going to be side-by-side battle at the back, and big crash at the back there. That's Harry Stewart that had gone around, and Aston Hurley also with troubles. It looks like that's going to be night over for the both of them. The number 51 of Bradley Oldfield holding on to 5th place for the moment, but he needs to get into that coveted 4th. That's where the transfer for the feature is, as James Oliver and Oscar Ames continue to fight over the lead.
That was a big moment for Harry Stewart, who ends up now in the pits and out of this race. Oldfield has the transfer. Darcy Wilson trying to chase him down, and it's a whole heap of mess behind him with Oscar Ames, John Schultz, Nick Ryan all trying to work their way through. But the transition now, still got drivers running the cushion, more drivers trying to find the grip on the bottom of the racetrack. That's where the majority of your top 4 are running right now. Is take a look at the pack right behind the 51 of Oldfield.
Yeah, this is crazy. Oscar Ames is right in the middle of this, and he has dropped back quite a few positions. Some technical issues there for the 099. Now Darcy Wilson gets a little tap from John Schultz there, and they're going to move on through. Darcy up the inside then of Bradley Oldfield. The Tinder cars side by side on your way onto the start-finish straight. 12 laps here for this B main. This is going to be a tough one, and they've got to be careful not to get into each other. Those Ulick Sim Sports teammates, they don't want to jeopardize the good positions they currently hold on to, but Darcy Wilson would certainly hope that there's another car or so out of the way ahead so that both he and Oldfield can get to the transfer. Right now, they're battling over it.
And now Oscar Ames goes to the bottom, 3 wide, and the teammates make contact. The 51, Bradley Oldfield, goes into the wall. Darcy Wilson now keeps running forward, but in P8, more contact is moving out of the way. I think that was Rattray White.
Yeah, I think it was. And Nick Ryan with one of the best saves of the night there. He was fully sideways, but managed to get it straightened up again. And he's immediately back on the attack here, trying to get by Thomas Mitchell. Now we have Rattray White and Wilson chasing down Schultz as for the 2nd place run there. James Oliver getting into the wall ever so briefly. Matthew Stables not too far ahead. Only about a second in it between himself, Oliver and Summers. But Rattray White here in the battle for 6th, for 5th is going to have another potential go as Wilson gets up the inside of Schultz there. The battle for 5th. It looks like Oscar Ames is jetting away from them there. They're battling a bit too much. They're going to be falling back now.
Rattray White hit the wall off of turn 4. He is now officially out of this race, but he wasn't in the conversation after that contact anyway. Oscar Ames has your transfer. John Schultz behind, but it's a gap of about 4/10 and a long way to go with just 2 laps remaining here in the B main. Matthew Staples, James Oliver, Bentley Summers, and Oscar Ames looking well and ahead in P4, trying to get these transfers.
Oh, Darcy Wilson up into the wall, and he's disappeared off the track. Unfortunately, that's going to be the end of it for him. And has there been a problem for Bentley Summers as well? It looks like there is. He's showing up as red on my timing screens. James Oliver not under any pressure anymore there in second place. The last lap is on, and Matthew Stables is going to take victory there. I wonder if his car was choking a little bit out of turn 4. Well, James Oliver and looks like Bentley Summers will fall down the order there. Oscar Ames getting third place in the end, with John Schultz just sneaking into the top 4. What a varied and exciting B main. Nick Ryan, the first to miss out there in 5th, with Mitchell, Boyd, Summers, Wilson and Rattray White rounding out your top 10. And unfortunately, retirements for Harry Stewart and Aston Hurley out just a couple of laps into the race. Well, it's time for the grid redraw, and series admin Brady Baldwin joins us now. Brady, can you give us any extra information on how this is going to work?
Well, usually we do split them up between the heat winners and the second place guys, but we changed it up tonight. We did change the format to 4 heats instead of 5, so it's going to be 1 to 8 all in, but the heat winners, so it'll be Ethan Winter, Matthew Gowans, Clayton Davies, and Craig Dunn. They'll have the option to go back to 8th and earn a bonus $50 if they win, so it'll be a $100 win total if they get it done. Not sure if any of them will take it, but we'll see if anyone wants some extra cash.
Absolutely. That's going to be a massive one indeed. $100 coming away from a night of racing. It'll be fun for sure. The first driver to join us is, of course, Ethan Winter. Now, Ethan, are you going to be taking that 8th place and the potential for the extra 50?
I don't think it's going to end well here. So not with my luck this year. So see how we go.
All right, cool. Let's spin the wheel and see where you end up. Anywhere from 1st to 8th. And we've already passed 1st. It's going to be a 6th place start for you, Ethan.
I think I'll be right. The track's pretty entertaining and exciting right now. It's pretty even on multiple lanes. So hopefully we can move forward here and make something of it.
Well, outside third row start then for Ethan Winter. Next driver to join us here in the spinning wheel box is Matthew Gowans. Well, 6th place has been taken, Matthew, and well, as a heat winner, let's see if you decide to go for that extra cash.
Extra cash? What am I missing? What do you mean?
If you decide you want to skip the wheel and start 8th, you could get an extra $50 if you win.
No, I'll be right.
All right, gears were turning in the head, and the answer came out no. So
Yeah,
Matthew,
I nearly went. You nearly talked me into it, but a top 3 will be good here.
Certainly. Well, it looks like that's only a matter of a pixel, but it looks like it's going to be 5th for you.
Okay, I'll take that. Starting on the inside. Cheers.
All right, Matthew Gowans will celebrate that with Clayton Davies, the next one to join us. Now, we're 3 out of 4 heat winners now. You're the 3rd. The 2 so far have decided not to go for the 8th place start for the extra cash. Will you, Clayton?
I think I might play it safe and just take my chances with the roll.
All right, let's spin the wheel and see where you start up. Could be 7th, could be 8th, could be a top 4, could be pole position. Let's see where you end up. 2nd, front row start.
I need that last couple of weeks, whether it's been injury or just stupidity on my part. I need a little bit of change of luck, so we'll take it and hopefully we can pull a good result.
All right, well, Clayton Davies will take that front row start, and now Craig Dunn is with us. A great drive in Heat 4, Craig. Do you think you might have the pace to race from 8th? Will you take that?
Oh, mate, it is what it is. I'll take whatever is given to me, and yeah, we go from there.
All right, so we'll take that as you're not going for the extra $50 starting from 8th and winning.
Nah, mate. I'll just take whatever's given.
Damn. Well, it looks like that prize is going to have to wait for another round. We did try indeed, Brady. Well, it looks like it's going to be a 7th place start for you in any case, Craig. You certainly proved that you could race up the order in your heat. Let's see if you do the same in the feature.
Thanks, fellas.
All right.
So, Reese, I'm just going to put it up. Whoever starts 8th, if they win, they can have the 50, since no one wanted to do it. So,
Okay.
yeah, so we got Tim, Tim Ryan, Paul Bryan, Brock Thompson, Joel Berkeley. So whoever lands on the 8, they can get the 50 if they win. We'll do that.
All right, cool. I like the sound of that. First driver to join us will be Tim Ryan, and I'm sure that it's going to be a surprise to you to learn, Tim, that, well, none of the feature winners decided to take that 8th place start for the extra cash, so whoever starts in 8th will get the extra 50 if they win. So will you be hoping for an 8th here?
Oh, mate, I'm feeling the pole tonight. I feel like my luck's got to change.
It's third.
Third. That's pretty good. I'll take that. Thanks, Brady. All right, here's boys.
Nicely done, Tim Ryan. Going to be starting inside second row. Next to join us is Paul Bryan with a little bit of extra cash potentially on the line if you draw 8th, Paul. But pole position would be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, wouldn't be bad, mate. Yeah.
Well, we only have 3 segments to go through, and it's going to be 8th. So, Paul, if you win from here, you're going to get an extra $50.
Oh, we'll see how we go. I don't like my chances, but we'll have a crack.
All right. Obviously, some hard racing in the heats there, and Paul did well, so there is a lot of potential. And Brock Thompson, you're the second last of our drivers to come in here. It's a matter of pole or 4th.
No. That's scary.
Yellow versus pink. Where is the wheel going to land? It's going to slow down.
Oh.
4th place.
Oh, it's pretty good. I'll take that.
Yeah, you've been doing well tonight, so it's going to be good to see where Brock Thompson can go from there. And that means, Joel Berkeley, you've got pole.
Shit, yeah,
Again.
that's cool.
Again.
Oh, well, I did say I was going 8th to first, so we'll take it where we get it.
All right, so that is your top 8 then. Berkeley going to be starting from pole position. Man, the spinny wheel's been treating you well this year, hasn't it, Joel?
You just let everyone else do the dirty work for you until we end up, and look what happened. Again. So,
Absolutely.
Take it where you get it. Just hopefully we got the pace to stay up there.
All right, best of luck, Joel. We'll hopefully see you after
Cheers,
the race.
guys.
Well, there we go, Josh. That's your top 8 then. Berkeley and Davies, your front row. Ryan and Thompson, row 2. Gowans and Winter, row 3. And row 4 will be done. And Brian and Paul is staring a $50 note right in the face.
Could have a good payday at the end of this one if he's able to get up through the top 8. But end of the day, we are going into our A main. 30 laps of racing, the longest we're going to race tonight. We've already seen a decent amount of incidents on the racetrack, and we do introduce full course yellows in the A main as well. That could become a factor. This race keeps getting started, then pause, play, then pause, play, then pause. If we get into that rhythm, it's going to be a very different race than it was through our heats and through our preliminaries.
Yeah, absolutely. The cadence of the night will certainly change. Well, I believe they'll let the drivers out for a couple of sighting laps here just to get used to the track again and see if you can wear it in a bit more. But I think it's pretty worn in as is, and we've already seen great potential for exciting racing from the way the track is now.
We've seen a lot of exciting racing so far tonight, and I think we're going to see a lot more exciting racing. We did not see a track reset, I don't believe. No, we did not. We are going into the A main with this track state, and it's going to be an exciting one. The bottom lane's usable, middle lane's kind of slicked off in these corners, and the cushion is very usable. I'm expecting a lot of slide jobs here, Reese, and I'm hoping I'm right.
Oh, yeah, I hope you're right, too. Well, just to reiterate, that's your top 8. Berkeley on pole with Davies alongside. Then Tim Ryan and Brock Thompson on row 2 with Gowans and Winter on row 3. And Craig Dunn and Paul Bryan will be your 4th row. Then we order the grid from 9th back, judging by previous results of the night. Darcy Walker's got the 9th place with Ayrton Smith rounding out the top 10. Brady Baldwin and Colin Bokus on row number 6. Bailey Leeson and Jamie Stovold, row 7. Nick Mithen starts 15th alongside Kobe Noonan with Cameron De Bruin and Hadley Boyce rounding out the top 18. Top 20 will be finished by Trent Gosley and Daniel Grimshaw. Then Stables, Oliver, Ames and Schultz. The top 4 from the B main slotting in at the back. Look at all of those cars. A brilliant sequence of liveries that we've seen over the course of the season as well. I think that Dirt Oval has some of the greatest potential for some awesome liveries in all forms of racing.
whether it's late models, I'd even go as far as to say some of these street stocks are painted really well, but especially sprint cars, they definitely get the paint workers going. And we see one driver with an EOL going all the way to the back of the field. That looked to be John Schultz. No, it's not. I'm not sure who it is because my timing screen won't let me see, but somebody is going all the way to the back.
That's Walker. That's Darcy Walker. It looks like he might have had a hardware issue. His wheel was all the way over to the left, it seems. So he's going to have to start this one from the pits, I think.
That's from 9th all the way to starting from the pits. Now, if we get an early yellow, that's not going to mean a whole lot. He will be able to kind of join back up at the back of the field. But that is assuming also the hardware issue was a hardware issue and is now resolved after a couple moments of waiting on the pit lane.
Yeah, well, Darcy Walker's confirmed in the InSim text chat that it was a problem with his wheel. It was just stuck at full lock to the left. So hopefully he gets that sorted out and he can rejoin the field once the race gets started, and maybe a few cautions will fall his way and he can work his way back up. Lots of potential there, but coming around to this second formation lap here, 23 cars getting ready to take to the start here at USA International Speedway, the BK Trading Australia round 14 of the Australian Sprint Car Championships, presented by Wide Open Clothing. Wide Open Clothing also sponsoring the feature here as Joel Berkeley leads us away for the green flag. The feature is on, and it looks like Clayton Davies is already going to be piling the pressure on Berkeley. Tim Ryan moving to the inside of the circuit there, trying to protect from Brock Thompson, from Ethan Winter, who goes for a slide, and Matthew Gowans gets sent into the wall. A massive smash there for Matthew. The car looks okay, but I don't know if it is. First caution out.
Gowans went for a ride and towed it back to the pit lane now as well. So I think, Reese, that car is not going to be salvageable for the rest of the night. But that was just how quickly things can happen. It was everybody trying to funnel their way into turns 1 and 2. And let's see, in the middle of the pack, it was slight contact and just clipped the front of the car, and around he went. There was nothing Gowans could do about that.
Yeah, it looked like, I don't know if Winter was moving down the track intentionally or he got contact from behind or something to that effect, but obviously it all happened so quickly and he got down into Matthew Gowans. Here's what happened here. So Brock Thompson, it was contact with Thompson's rear left that did it. Oh, how quickly things can change.
And I mentioned earlier, before we got into this A main, how the rhythm of the night was going to go. If it was going to be a lot of start and stop with these cautions. Already under a full course yellow, and as always, caution laps do not count. We will race all 30 laps of this race under the green flag. But pacing here now is just packing more rubber in, not as quickly as it would if we were at race speed. But ultimately, these drivers just pacing behind each other, wanting to get back going. And Joel Berkeley has this race lead and wants to try and keep it away from Clayton Davies. His best way to do that is with these yellows, but at the same time, the race is not ending with any of these yellow flags.
No, it just delays the inevitable, really. If you're being threatened from behind, you're going to have to get your defense on one way or another. Big blow for Brock Thompson. Obviously, his contact with Ethan Winter was what started all of that mess. So race control have given him the end of line. He will start at the back of the field. And Darcy Walker has thus far not made it out of pit lane. So it looks like we'll only have 23 cars taking to the start here as they form up double file at the front once more, getting ready for the restart. Hopefully Thompson and company can catch back up as Berkeley will lead us away here on the inside. Tim Ryan getting a little bit lower there, but Berkeley trying to straight line this as much as he can, goes right through the rear of the pace truck. Early starts seem to be Joel Berkeley's forte as they make their way into turns 1 and 2. Tim Ryan down low, but Ethan Winter working that high line, and he's catching up to the top 2 already, with Berkeley now running the middle and looking quite comfortable. Clayton Davies is trying down low. He's covering off Tim Ryan, but we'll see if there's anything left to fight over here. We have the 57 of Craig Dunn, that striking yellow machine, who has certainly put a great show on in the heats here, making a move on the championship leader.
Dunn goes inside. Davies all the way up to the wall and hits it out of turn 4. That'll put him into this mess, almost making contact with a 64. Aridon Smith to the bottom. And now back up top, and yellow flag goes out. Trent Gosley around on the front straightaway, as well as the 75, Daniel Grimshaw as well.
No, that's a shame there. The number 13 of Cameron De Bruin also involved from what I could see. Well, the Suit Speed replay is going to be interesting there. All of those guys were fighting towards the back of the field, sort of around the top 20 area. And looking at it on my end, it looks to me like might have actually been Oscar Ames that started all of it. He accidentally fed the right rear to Dan Grimshaw, and it looked like no one else had anywhere to go.
That's how quickly things can happen here. And it was just Davies going up towards the wall, came down, almost made contact. There was that contact through turn 4. The 75 just trying to find real estate. He was trying to get up the middle, and these cars, you make contact with them. They're not like late models where you can lean on each other, Reese. These things are open wheel race cars, much like Formula One, much like IndyCar. If you touch wheels, you are going around, and that's exactly what we saw then and what we've seen already a handful of times so far tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen that kind of contact many times throughout the season. So I would suspect that's going to be an end-of-line penalty for Oscar Ames for sticking his nose in there. And, well, I mean, he would have thought that the gap would open, but I think there was a bit of understeer for him. So we'll see what race control does about that. Just a couple of laps left to go on this caution period. For the moment, it's looking like Tim Ryan has had the best run of things. Clayton Davies falling back in that green flag period, and Craig Dunn on the podium for the moment. This is going to be a tough fight here.
And still a long way to go. We are not close to home yet. We're on lap 4. Here's a replay of what happened with Clayton Davies. He was hitting the wall a lot up on the cushion, came down, hit the 98 of Tim Ryan, sent him up into the wall again. And this is all just trying to save this race car at saving a 410 sprint car going 100 and something miles an hour down the straightaway, weighing next to nothing, is not an easy thing to do. And Clayton Davies was along for the ride there.
Yeah, certainly was. Got bashed about a little bit. They're forming up, though, and getting ready for this second restart of the feature. We are coming around to start the 5th lap, and Berkeley leads us away once more. Clayton Davies immediately on the attack there versus Craig Dunn, trying to get back into the top 3, but Ayrton Smith and Paul Bryan might have something to say about that. Davies, though, decides, no, thank you. I'm going to go up high. I'm going to get that momentum on the exit, but I'll tell you what, Craig Dunn is getting great traction with those low exits.
And a lot of drivers are now starting to follow him. Leader Joel Berkeley's down there. Tim Ryan's down there. But how about Ethan Winter with a big run off of the exit of turn 4? He's the main one running the cushion. Does he get by Dunn? He gets even with him, which is honestly better than I thought he was going to do off of turn 4.
Yeah, Clayton Davies, meanwhile, has fallen all the way back to 17th. Ethan Winter is working the high line nicely, and I think he's just hoping that it'll come to him eventually. He's one of the only cars who's actually getting up there. As it cools down with less cars running over it, there should be a bit more grip available. And look at that right there. He's managed to get ahead of Craig Dunn.
Still running that wall, still trying to use that cushion to his advantage. The idea is you get the right rear on the pack of dirt that is up by the wall. You're able to slingshot yourself around the racetrack, and that's what he did to get side by side with Tim Ryan. This is side by side for P2. He now loses out on that spot, and Tim Ryan stays down low, though. Leaves the outside open to Ethan Winter. Are they side by side again? Off 4 they are.
Side by side across the line as well. And Ethan is firing it into every single one of these turns. The margin for error so narrow with a concrete wall right alongside you. But you see there, Ryan gets ahead a bit more on the entry into the corner, but then the momentum comes back for Winter. He's able to push more throttle round the outside there and maintain a bit more speed. It's looking very nice here, this battle for the podium places, and that's going to be conclusive there, I think. Ethan Winter almost riding the wall, almost chastaining it on his way through turns 1 and 2. But Tim Ryan is still looking to fight here down low, coming into the corners. The fast repair window is closed, so if you have a big crash here, you won't be able to come into the pits to get your car repaired anymore. You crash, you're out.
Side by side throughout the majority of this field, but we go back to this mid-pack. James Oliver, Brady Baldwin, Paul Bryan in this one as well. Remember, Paul Bryan going for that extra $50 and a payday at the end of this one. Reese's P7 now fighting on the inside, but up and into the wall. That's James Oliver.
Oh, he manages to get going, but I think there's some problems with the suspension for him. He falls back to 15th to 16th now, as Tim Ryan is starting to pressure Joel Berkeley for the lead of the race. Ryan has been working the inside very nicely, particularly through turns 1 and 2. He's got some great pace into the wall. Goes, I believe that's James Oliver, and that's going to bring the caution out and put a pause to proceedings once again.
Nearing halfway done with this race, and James Oliver was running the cushion there, and I think just trying to go up the middle, made contact with the driver that was to his outside, and that led to another piece of contact that leads to another full course yellow. Here's that caution, 727 up to his outside, and that one just ran out of room. He was arced in the wrong spot and ran into the driver to his outside, and that led to caution number 3.
And if he'd gone just maybe half a car width lower, could have avoided that, but that's dirt racing. It is a matter of millimeters at the best of times. Well, fortunately, we managed to tick off quite a few laps there in that green flag period. We're up to lap 14 now, and this is Tim Ryan here with Ethan Winter. It looked like Ethan had a bit of a problem down low. Well, actually, Ryan was defending hard from Ethan Winter, but I did see Ethan fall to the low line coming out of 3 and 4. I think there might have been some contact between these two, and now Craig Dunn has managed to work his way back past Winter. There's the issue for Ethan. He fed the right front into the wall on the exit of turn 4.
And that sets us up for another restart as well. Lights already out on the pace truck, ready to go again, and we're almost to halfway done with this feature. Joel Berkeley's been in command. Can Tim Ryan get by? He had just started making an effort for it, but the better start goes to Joel Berkeley as the pace truck gets into pit lane.
Geez, Tim Ryan and Craig Dunn were banging wheels on the way up to the start line there. Brady Baldwin has worked his way into 5th place, and the caution's immediately back out again. Something's happened at the back of the field. I'm not seeing much of a trace of anyone being sideways, but it looks like potentially Jamie. No. Oh, okay. All right. I'm having a look further back. There was about 3 cars involved here. Clayton Davies, Oscar Ames, Matthew Stables, all coming in here. Stables was the one who initially made the contact, it looked like, and then that just involved Dan Grimshaw and the number 44 of Nick Mithen as well. So a couple of cars out there with frames that might be a bit bent now, Josh.
And this driver's up front having to stop again. Joel Berkeley got such a good start over Tim Ryan that last time by. Did Tim Ryan learn anything? It is very difficult to get as good of a start as the leader in these sprint cars just because they get off the line so quickly. You're able to kind of restart whenever you want because you stab the throttle, you're gaining 20, 30 miles an hour within a couple of seconds ahead of the driver to the outside before they even have time to react to what's happening.
Yeah, these 410 sprint cars are monstrous machines. V8 engines of 410 cubic inch capacity and producing in excess of 900 horsepower in cars that are incredibly light as well. So It is amazing the speed that these cars can pull off. Restarts have been changed to single file for the time being because that was back-to-back cautions there. So should be a bit of an easier way for these drivers to take advantage over those behind them. But once we get a couple of laps in, I think the intensity is going to build up again.
Well, there will be a single file restarts on this restart, so that is going to help Tim Ryan out at least a little bit because he won't have the in-sim officials kind of watching him and making sure he doesn't violate the restart by passing the leader before that green flag comes out. He's able to get right on the back bumper of Joel Berkeley in front. And let's see if Tim Ryan's able to make a move into turn one. If not, I think at least if we get a long run, he is going to catch him. But the difference between catching and passing is two different things.
Absolutely, especially around USA International Speedway. We saw how much trouble Ethan Winter had trying to maintain that outside line. Well, coming up to the green flag now, pace truck pulling in, and Berkeley will start early once again. Ryan is sticking with him though, and Craig Dunn starting to fall back into the clutches of Ethan Winter. Baldwin, Smith and Bryan are right there as well, and Ayrton Smith in the number 64 is working the top. Oh, there was contact for the lead! Contact for the lead! Oh my goodness, the caution is back out. Tim Ryan and Joel Berkeley both down low, and it looked like there was a bit of contact between them right up against the inside wall. Tim Ryan has been judged to be the cause of the incident here. Here's the restart once again, Josh, and Tim Ryan tips it in. He gets it sideways, gets alongside Berkeley, but then taps him around, and that brings the rest of the top of the field into contention there. Big contact for Craig Dunn and for Ayrton Smith. I think I saw one of the other cars as well getting rolled. I mean, that was chaos.
How badly do they want this win? I think we just saw how badly Tim Ryan wants to win this. He tried to get to the inside. He hit the grass on the bottom. And once you're down there, once that spot's being covered up by Joel Berkeley, you really don't have much else place to go. Here's what happened further back in the field. They got caught up in this mess. Ryan and Berkeley making contact. It all stacks up in front, and up and over for a second went the 39, collecting 78 and 75 en route to the yellow flag as well.
Yeah, that was Colin Bokus. That was the car I was questioning myself about. Ah, real shame. They were almost halfway down the back straight by the time that sort of sub-contact happened. Man, oh, this race has turned on its head. Now Joel Berkeley is continuing up the front, but does he have damage from that incident there? I saw he was doing a bit of a practice start there, I think just to judge how his car now behaves on full power.
And to the lead as well. Back goes Joel Berkeley, but Ethan Winter now in second, Brady Baldwin in third. We have a couple of new names up here at the front that have now new life at the front of this field. Can Brady Baldwin do something with it? What about Ethan Winter there as well? Paul Bryan looking for 50 bucks, Reese. He's now P4 when we go restarting this thing.
Yeah, good point. I didn't even think about that. Paul Bryan is on a charge right now, and that incident really benefited him. Was he able, though, to avoid the worst of that contact? How is his car faring? I suppose we'll find out in a few seconds' time as the green flag is raised and now waving as we make our way to the line again. Berkeley with a good jump there. But Ethan Winter will start to move his car up ever higher here. Baldwin looking for a move of the inside, and there goes Paul Bryan. Look at him. Oh, God, contact there. Baldwin's been sent up and over. The caution's back out again. And I think an end-of-line penalty might be coming the way of Ethan Winter, which would promote Paul Bryan to second.
Berkeley holds the lead through all of this, but we're seeing the desperation start to come out, and they're not going to give much more space. They weren't giving a lot through the heats and through the prelims. They're not going to give a lot now. Here's the side-by-side between Winter and the 7 to the inside of Baldwin. A slight tap, and I mentioned these cars are open wheel, the open wheel contact, and that's what we saw.
Yeah, I think Baldwin was expecting Winter to go up the racetrack a bit more on the exit, but it looked like Ethan was trying to just keep it narrow for a straight exit. This is Baldwin's perspective, and don't forget, these cars don't have mirrors, so Ethan can't see what Brady is doing behind him there. This is the point of contact here. Get on the power, and Baldwin starts moving up, but yeah, evidently there wasn't enough space to do that.
And now over halfway done with this feature race as well. I don't think we're gonna see these moves start to calm down anytime soon. It's just the way 410 sprint car racing goes. If you're racing close, it's only going to be a matter of time before the inches they're giving each other turn to centimeters, and once they turn there, then you're just going to reach a ton of wheel-to-wheel contact like we've seen now. The last, what, 4 cautions has been all wheel-to-wheel contact in some way to make these cautions?
Yeah, it's been a bit slow going in terms of race laps completed for the last few minutes, but we are back to green now, and Joel Berkeley will maintain the lead. Davies and Noonan trading for P4, and it looks like Kobe has lost his front wing there, so that's not going to help his car's balance in the turns, and he is falling back heavily. Jamie Stovall now up to 5th place. Good job for the Synergy Sim Racing driver. Paul Bryan will keep himself in that 3rd spot there. Ethan Winter did not get an end-of-line penalty for that contact. Potentially Brady decided it was on himself there and did not assign it, but Bryan is working the middle of the track beautifully. Look at the momentum that he's carrying now versus Ethan Winter, who's looking very uncomfortable down low.
And Paul Bryan gonna get away with P2. Joel Berkeley trying to check out at the front of the field, and we got 3 wide through the mid-pack. It'll be 11 to go at the line. The 26 loses a ton of time. That's Kobe Noonan on the bottom of the racetrack, but back up to the outside wall goes the 099. Oscar Ames looking for a pass, and he gets it. That's P7 for that 99.
Yeah, good job there for Oscar. John Schultz also getting into it with Matthew Stables for P9, and they have John Schultz, they have the 44 Nick Mithen right up ahead of them. There's Oscar Ames, who's still trying to work the high line, but he's feeding it into the wall a bit too much. That's arresting his momentum. Far from ideal for Oscar Ames. Joel Berkeley, though, is starting to come under pressure from Paul Bryan. Could this be the ultimate dream here for the 42? Starting in 8th, an extra $50 on the line if he wins from 8th position, and it looks like that is a very solid possibility.
His confidence was not a lot when he got the 8th place to get that $50, but he is now on the back bumper of Joel Berkeley. Berkeley goes to the outside, uses the cushion off the exit of 4, gains the momentum back, but with 8 laps to go, Paul Bryan needs to try and make something work. Joel Berkeley is parked on the bottom of the racetrack right now, needs to try and move him out of the way.
As the only thing Berkeley can really do right now is stop Paul Bryan from getting a move up the inside on entry, try and arrest the momentum of the potential slide job here. They are going to be fighting tooth and nail for these last few laps. Look at the attitude from Paul Bryan's car here. It's so smooth through the turns. There's barely any complaints from the front or the rear end. Berkeley is running up a little bit higher though on the exit, and Paul Bryan might see a move to the inside. No, Berkeley translates it into a good run out of turn 4.
6 laps to go. The battle for the lead stays the same through turn 2. Further back, the mid-pack is not done with these small battles. This is Oscar Ames versus John Schultz for P8. Ames gets loose off the exit at turn 2, almost comes down in the 78, keeps it straight. We stay green, but with now 5 laps remaining, the mid-pack settles out. The battle for the lead does as well. It's within 3/10.
Yeah, I'm noticing in the battle for second as we find our way to Nick Mithen and Hadley Boyce, they're fighting for P6, but in this battle for the lead, I'm starting to see Paul Bryan experiment a bit more with the high line. He ran high in turns 1 and 2 on the previous lap, but evidently it didn't work out for him. The charge seems to be over there. Split screen, lead on the bottom, and the battle between Schultz and Mithen for 7th, and now it's between Schultz and Oh my goodness. Everything's going off there in the battle for P6. Oscar Ames right in it as well. And can he keep the momentum up around the outside as Oscar Ames now with Hadley Boyce for that 6th place. Ames gets it round the outside. Beautifully done. 2 laps to go for our leaders, Josh. Joel Berkeley looks like he's got this sorted.
If we see a yellow flag from that mid-pack battle we're watching on the bottom of your screen, that could lead to a late restart and could lead to a Paul Bryan win. But as we stay green, Joel Berkeley is going to take that white flag, and the dominant 410 of the night is staring down a feature race win.
Last lap begins for the number 9 of Joel Berkeley. He was one of many drivers this season who took a few rounds to really get his season up to momentum, but he has come back in a big way, and he's certainly gotten lucky with the spinning wheel as well. Started from pole and is going to take the win here at USA International Speedway. Commiserations to Paul Bryan. He did a fantastic job to get up to 2nd. Unfortunately, that extra $50 for winning from 8th will not go his way, but the battle is won by Matthew Stables there versus John Schultz. Hadley Boyce just holding him off for 7th place, and well, the celebrations will start to begin now for Joel Berkeley. Another great points night with some of the top drivers in this championship missing out on huge points. Ethan Winter, the championship leader, could only manage 5th, Josh.
And that was a tough-fought battle for Ethan Winter to get up to P5 as well, but also a tough-fought battle for Paul Bryan, who tried to put it to the Ulick Sim Sports number 9 and Joel Berkeley, but Berkeley was just so quick all night long, and there was no defeating that number 9 when it came to that long run. Paul Bryan would have needed a yellow, would have needed Berkeley to make some sort of mistake. He just ultimately didn't the whole night.
Well, there we go. Brilliant driving from Joel Berkeley, from everyone on our podium. And, well, Nick Mithen will round out your top 10 there. Looking at the positions gained throughout the field, well, Oscar Ames started in 23rd and he made his way up to 6th. So that is a solid contender for the Hard Charger Award. As we go back down through the field, only 13 cars managed to get to the finish there. Retirement territory for 10 cars there. 11 if you throw in Darcy Walker, who could not take to the start thanks to hardware issues. Well, that's the end of the racing portion of the night. Now it's time to talk to some of our drivers here. And first off is going to be our winner, Joel Berkeley. Man, that was a tough one, Joel. Certainly got a bit stop-start in the middle.
Yeah, she got a bit scary there, or whatever the stage it was there. And then we got people trying to drive in the grass like pelicans, but it is what it is, and yeah, happy to walk away with the win and do what we need to do, and the track was how it was.
You were finding some big pressure from Paul Bryan in those final laps. Did you change anything on the car to help you get that gap back up?
Yeah, he did a ripper job, and massive credit to Paul there. But I got to thank Harry for jumping in and spotting for me there. If he wasn't there spotting for me, it would have been a bit average and probably would have been running the wrong line after he got hard done by in the heat race. But yeah, good. Yeah, happy just to finish, and unlike a lot of others, and yeah, be at the pointy end and just stay out of people's stupidity.
Yeah, absolutely. There were quite a few problems for others throughout the field.
But
then
it's not always the drive as well. It's hard when the track's how it is, and it's not like these guys try and prep a terrible racetrack, and it just sometimes it happens, and we have setups that run better in certain spots. So I'm sure if everyone that was up front, it would have been a ripper race and cool for everyone. But yeah, not much you can do about when stuff happens.
Yeah, indeed. But let's focus on the positives here. You came away with another win and another great points opportunity for you, Joel. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, look, massive thanks to all the guys at Slick Sim Sport for all they do. Tough night for the team, but thankfully was able to get a result for everyone. We've had good pace, just the lads struggled to qualify and just getting a bit shafted with calls and wrong place, wrong time. But it happens, and yeah, just part of it. But massive thanks to you guys for all you do with broadcast and everything like that, and Brady and his team for all the stuff they put in. And I'm sure their messengers will be on mental and they'll be pulling their hairs out and try to how to make a better race and what they can do.
All right. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Joel. We'll see you next round at Weed Sport.
Cheers, mate. Hopefully you do. Yeah.
All right, Joel Berkeley going to celebrate his victory there, and bringing into the comms box is going to be Paul Bryan, the number 42. Joshua Lee stood by.
Well, Paul, you almost had a $50 payday, starting from 8th, getting up into 2nd place. Weren't able to grab that win. What more did you need there in that A main?
Oh, man, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I probably should have went to the top a little bit earlier because those last 2 laps, I felt like if I could nail that properly, it was quite quick up there, and I just didn't try it enough. But yeah, no, it's so close. Couldn't quite get it done, but that was yeah, it was a pretty fun race.
You mentioned going to the top there a little bit earlier. The track really worn in towards the middle. Were you favoring the bottom? Were you favoring the top? Were you favoring somewhere in the middle within that slick stuff?
Well, I managed to catch Joel by running a line through the slick, like just below middle through 1 and 2, and I found just a tiny little bit of fluffy stuff through the slick there, and it was hooking up quite nicely. But then Joel ran there a couple of times too, and it just went away, and that line wasn't. I couldn't make any speed on that line anymore, so I tried the bottom again, which I couldn't quite get right, and then yeah, as I went to the top, it just felt a bit nicer up there. So I was disappointed I didn't go there earlier, but whether it would have made any difference or not, mate, you'll never know.
Weed Sport on the horizon. What are your thoughts about going to that? More of a bull ring track versus this kind of high speed straightaways, tight corners?
Yeah, one of the most technical tracks on the service, I think. Williams Grove, and then Weed Sport close behind for me, and I enjoy racing there. It's definitely not the track I've always had the best results at, but looking forward to it, and yeah, it should be interesting. You definitely need to want to qualify somewhere in the top half to start the night there.
Congrats on the 2nd place tonight, Paul. I know you got a lot of people that make it possible for you. Who do you got to give a shout out to?
Just all the boys at Man Up Sim Racing, Speed Factory we grabbed the setups from Speed Factory, and they're always on point, and ODSE and all you guys for putting on the league. That's about it.
Paul Bryan, 2nd place for Man Up Sim Racing tonight, Reese, as we move on.
Indeed, we do. Thanks for joining us, Paul, as we can welcome Clayton Davies to the commentary box. 3rd place in the end for you there, Clayton. Certainly looked a bit rough up the top there, as everyone was trying to deal with a track that was turning against them.
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting over using this personal bump stop for everyone lately, but it's a good turnaround from potential disaster. I felt like we had a decent car to win. Congrats to Joel on the win and Paul on the podium. Like, they were just in the right spot at the right time and lucky enough to get themselves either away from the wrecks or able to navigate them properly. But feels like that one might have got away from us.
Well, in the end, you still managed to finish ahead of Ethan Winter, and so that will narrow the points gap, at least by my estimations, for the championship. We're only going to have 4 rounds to go after this one, so it's time to get to the pointy end of things and focus on getting as many points as you can.
Yeah, exactly. I think for the most part, unless something drastically happens to Ethan, I think he's got this one pretty much locked up. It's pretty hard. Well, the series is really competitive, and like with qualifying points and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be really hard to try and catch him in points without a mistake on his part or some extreme luck on my part. But we'll keep chipping away. Hopefully we can maintain 2nd and not drop back to 3rd and just keep pulling consistent finishes.
A very strange technical track at Weed Sport awaits us for the next round, so there's a lot of potential there for things to be thrown up in the air, Clayton. Thanks for joining us. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the guys at TPR for helping me out and bring me onto the team. 1425 Photography, Jimmy P, Mac Tools, Aces Up Sim Sport, CDM Simtography, Trackside Collective, Blake Carrick Racing, my own personal sponsors, Western Machine Shop, Atlantic Oil, you guys putting on the broadcast, Josh for coming in, doing a cheeky little guest spot on the crew, Brady and Liam, Brad, everyone over at ODC for putting the series, and yeah, thanks to everyone involved.
Well, that is a fantastic job from Clayton Davies to get that podium, and that's going to close things off for tonight, Joshua. This is how the championship standings look coming out of this round. Joel Berkeley moves into second place with the feature win, only 2 points ahead of Clayton Davies. Things are getting interesting.
Davies is still there, especially trying to go for second place. Van de Wacker didn't fall too much in P4, but Ethan Winter kind of showed tonight he is human. We had a struggle night tonight, and a struggle night for him being P5 is still keeping him well and away. Your points leader by about 100 points.
Absolutely. Well, how are those standings going to look coming out of next round at Weed Sport Speedway for the Bocas Built Sprints Empire State Showdown? A very tough circuit here at Weed Sport, a rectangular sort of lopsided parallelogram weird thing of a racetrack. I love it.
At the very least, it is very different than USA. It is one of the most entertaining tracks and one of the newer end of tracks that we have had on the iRacing service when it comes to dirt oval racing. You're not going to want to miss going to Weed Sport. Weed Sport is an amazing racetrack, especially for 410 sprint cars.
Cannot wait for it. Well, that's going to close things off for tonight's show here on SimSpeed TV. Whichever platform you came from, be it YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Kick, we thank you very much for watching and hope that you can catch us again next round on the 4th of September at 8:10 p.m. AEST. The bktrading.com.au Lakeland Challenge going to Joel Berkeley for round 14 of the Wide Open Clothing Australian Sprint Car Championship Series by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events. I'm Reese Gardner, Joshua Lee alongside me in the comms box, and Jake Kennedy producing behind the scenes here on SimSpeed TV. We'll see you next time.
It is feature time in Tulsa. Let's go green. He's got the run, but isn't enough. It's a drag race to the finish. Culver goes from third to first in the last quarter.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR calendar, such as the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600. We have races from disciplines across the racing world, from the Indy 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events use iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against everyone taking part. As every race progresses, watch and feel the track change, with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline, or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.